You've said now that you don't think a major ground invasion is happening in Rafah right now, but as you note, this is a densely populated area. It all is. I understand that this might be a secondary explosion. The Israelis are describing it as a tragic mishap, but isn't this exactly the kind of incident that you have been concerned about this whole time?
As I said in my opening statement, this exactly does speak to the challenge of military operations in a densely populated area. A challenge, I would add, Mary, that we have been sharing and our perspectives on with the Israelis from our own lessons learned in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. This incident speaks exactly to that challenge.
And despite the loss of life here, do you still believe that this strike was precise and proportional?
There's an investigation. I think we're going to let the Israelis do their work. I don't think you can expect me to speak to the details of a specific strike by Israeli military forces when we had nothing to do with that.
And just one more, you've called the strike devastating, the images heartbreaking, but you've stopped short of outright condemning this strike. Can you explain why?
We have been, I think, very strident in our condemnations about the deaths of innocent civilians. These deaths are not excused from that. But we have to understand what happened here. There's going to be an investigation. They've already said it was a tragic mistake. They're looking into it. They have been able to investigate themselves and hold people accountable in the past. We'll see what they do here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I want to be clear, after this weekend strike, is it our assumption that nothing about U.S. policy has changed or is changing in regards to...
As a result of this strike on Sunday, I have no policy changes to speak to. It just happened. The Israelis are going to investigate it. We're going to be taking great interest in what they find in that investigation, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I also want to ask, we saw a good amount of international condemnation after this strike, whether it was from President Macron of France, others in Europe. We have not yet heard from the president publicly at all about this strike. Why is that?
Well, again, I think I've answered this question with Ed. You've heard the president on numerous occasions in just the last few days about what's going on in the Middle East and in other places around the world, and you'll hear from him again. I'm absolutely confident in that.
One last question. Is there any concern that the United States itself is being isolated internationally as we continue to support the operation and you're seeing European allies?
One of the things that we've talked about with the Israelis about the manner in which some of these operations are being conducted is the real danger that Israel itself could become further isolated from the international community just by dint of the manner in which they are conducting operations. So this is of concern, clearly, because it's not in Israel's best interest, and it's not in our best interest for Israel to become increasingly isolated on the world stage. As a matter of fact, one of the things the president came into office wanting to do, and actually we had made some progress before the 7th of October, was working towards a more integrated Israel into the region. So it's in our national security interest to make sure that that doesn't happen. The president doesn't make decisions, and he doesn't execute on policy based on public opinion polling or on popularity contests. He bases his decisions on our own national security interests, what's at stake for our safety and security here at home and abroad, and what's in the best interests of our allies and partners. Sometimes what's in the best interest of your alliance and your partnership is to be candid, forthright, even tough with your friend, which we have been able to do with Israel.
So I just want to be clear on that. We spoke about Israel's isolationism there. I just want to make clear, are you concerned at all, or is the administration concerned at all about the United States being out of step or isolated?
I thought I got to that in the last part of my soliloquy.
No, I did.
Sorry, I did!
Well, I'm sorry, I did not catch that.
You didn't get it. Okay, so I'm going to try it again, and we'll see. Maybe take two will be better. The president's not making decisions based on popularity or public opinion polls here around the world. He's making decisions about our national security based on those interests and what meets those interests. And it certainly doesn't meet our interest, and it doesn't meet our Israeli partners' interest for them to become further isolated. But he's not making decisions based on that being a worry. He's making decisions based on what's in the best interest of the American people and our safety and security abroad.
Okay.